There is a river system on this planet that holds more species than any other ecosystem on Earth, and inside it are 5 creatures that have spent millions of years perfecting the art of killing, or, in one case, the art of being feared, without anyone ever fully proving why. One of them carries venom so potent that a single bite can send an adult into cardiac arrest before help arrives. One of them is covered in bright warning color and carries, on its skin alone, enough toxin to end more than a dozen human lives. One of them has jaws that generate more bite force than almost any animal alive. One of them has grown so large that indigenous communities have hunted it for generations and still cannot say with certainty how big the biggest ones get. And one of them is smaller than your finger and has shaped the daily behavior of entire river communities for centuries, even though the scientists who study it still cannot agree on exactly what it is capable of. This is not a jungle full of danger in the abstract sense. This is a specific list of 5 animals that scientists, guides, and the people who have lived alongside the Amazon rainforest for thousands of years treat with a level of caution reserved for almost nothing else on the planet. Some of them you already know by name. What you do not know is what happens inside your body after they strike, how recently science actually understood what these creatures are capable of, or why researchers who spend their careers studying them still describe encountering them as one of the most frightening moments of their professional lives. The Amazon covers roughly 5.5 million square kilometers across 9 countries. It holds an estimated 10% of all known species on Earth. And within that staggering diversity, evolution has produced a small number of animals so specialized, so lethal, and so poorly understood that even now, in an age of satellite mapping and genetic sequencing, researchers are still discovering new details about how they kill. This is our countdown of the 5 most terrifying creatures in the Amazon rainforest. Stay until the end, because number 1 is not the biggest, the strongest, or even the most venomous animal on this list. It's the one animal here that scientists still argue about decades after the case that made it famous, and it has been feared by entire river communities for generations, regardless of how that argument turns out. Before we start, drop a comment telling us where you are watching from and what time it is right now. We want to see how many countries this video reaches. Number 5. The Brazilian wandering spider. In the leaf litter and low vegetation of the Amazon basin, spanning across Brazil, Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia, there is a spider that does not build a web. Most dangerous spiders wait. They spin silk, they anchor themselves in a fixed location, and they let prey come to them. The Brazilian wandering spider, scientific name Phonutria, does the opposite. It hunts actively at night, moving across the forest floor in search of prey, which is exactly how it earned its name. Phonutria is Greek for murderous. The largest species in the genus, Phonutria fera, has a leg span that can reach 15 centimeters, roughly 6 inches, tip to tip. Its body is covered in dense hair, and when threatened, it performs a defensive display that has been described by researchers as almost theatrical. It rears back on its hind legs, raises its front legs into the air, and exposes bright red hairs around its fangs, a warning display designed to be unmistakable. If the warning is ignored, the bite that follows delivers one of the most medically significant venoms of any spider on the planet. According to research published by the Butantan Institute in Sao Paulo, one of the world's leading centers for the study of venomous animals, Phonutria venom contains a cocktail of neurotoxins that interfere directly with the human nervous system's sodium and calcium channels. In practical terms, this means the venom does not simply cause localized pain. It hijacks the electrical signaling that your muscles and nerves rely on to function. Victims report intense, burning pain radiating from the bite site within minutes, followed by profuse sweating, irregular heartbeat, blurred vision, and in severe cases, breathing difficulty as the diaphragm muscles come under attack. There is another effect of this venom that has made it a subject of genuine scientific fascination rather than pure horror. In male victims, the neurotoxins can trigger a prolonged, painful erection, a condition known medically as priapism. This side effect was documented so consistently in envenomation cases that pharmaceutical researchers took notice. According to a study published in the British Journal of Pharmacology, researchers began isolating the specific protein responsible, hoping to reverse engineer it into a treatment for erectile dysfunction. What causes agony and cardiac stress in a spider attack is now being studied as potential medicine, a contradiction that sits at the center of why toxinologists find Phonutria so significant. But the reason this spider ranks among the most dangerous in the world is not just the venom, it is the behavior. Unlike most venomous spiders, which retreat from human contact whenever possible, Phonutria has a well-documented habit of seeking shelter in dark, enclosed spaces during the day. Shoes left outside overnight, piles of clothing, stacked firewood, banana crates. In fact, the spider is so strongly associated with banana shipments that it has earned the nickname the banana spider. After multiple documented cases of the animals being discovered alive inside crates of bananas, exported from South America to grocery stores in Europe and North America, according to the Guinness World Records, Phonutria fera holds the official title of the world's most venomous spider, based on the toxicity of its venom relative to the volume required to cause serious harm in humans. Prior to the development of antivenom by the Butantan Institute in the 1970s and 1980s, mortality among untreated, severely envenomated victims was significant. Today, with medical treatment readily available in most affected regions, deaths are rare. But the World Health Organization still classifies Phonutria bites as a public health concern in parts of Brazil, where thousands of bites are reported annually, most from spiders that had taken shelter inside homes. What makes the wandering spider genuinely unsettling is not a monster hiding deep in untouched jungle. It is an animal that has adapted to live comfortably in the same spaces humans do, moving through houses, sheds, and shipping containers with the same confidence it moves through the forest floor. Somewhere, right now, in a home on the edge of the Amazon, one of these spiders may be resting quietly inside a shoe, waiting for nightfall. There is also a distinction researchers stress that most casual reporting on Phonutria gets wrong. The genus contains several species, not all of which pose equal danger to humans, and misidentification between Phonutria and other, far less dangerous wandering spiders is common even among people who live in the region. According to arachnologists at the Butantan Institute, correctly distinguishing a medically significant Phonutria bite from a bite by a related but harmless species often requires laboratory analysis, not a glance at the animal itself, because the coloring, size, and defensive posture can look nearly identical to the untrained eye. That uncertainty is part of why every bite in an affected region is treated with the same seriousness, regardless of which exact species delivered it. Hospitals across Brazil, Peru, and Ecuador stock Phonutria antivenom, specifically because the cost of guessing wrong, in a region where thousands of encounters are reported every year, is measured in human lives. Number 4. The golden poison dart frog. In the humid lowland rainforests of Colombia's Pacific coast, part of the same broader bioregion that feeds into the western Amazon basin, there is an animal small enough to sit on a fingertip, brilliantly colored, and, gram for gram, widely regarded by toxicologists as carrying the most potent poison of any known vertebrate on Earth. The golden poison frog, scientific name Philobates terribilis, grows to barely 5 centimeters, roughly 2 inches, in length. Its skin is a solid, almost fluorescent yellow gold, a color pattern that in nature functions as one of the most honest warning signals ever evolved. It is not camouflaged, it is not trying to hide. It wants to be seen, because anything that eats it will not survive to make that mistake twice. The frog's skin secretes a compound called batrachotoxin, a steroidal alkaloid so powerful that, according to toxicological research reviewed by the National Institutes of Health, an amount smaller than a few grains of table salt, roughly 100 to 200 micrograms, is sufficient to kill an adult human. A single wild golden poison frog carries enough toxin on its skin, according to widely cited estimates from herpetologists who study the species, to theoretically kill between 10 and 20 adult humans, or, by some estimates, to fatally poison the tips of up to 50 blow darts from one animal alone. Batrachotoxin works by binding permanently to voltage-gated sodium channels in nerve and muscle cells, the same channels responsible for transmitting every electrical signal that allows a heart to beat and a lung to expand. Unlike most neurotoxins, which block these channels shut, batrachotoxin does the opposite. It forces them open and holds them there, locking the cell into a state of continuous, uncontrolled depolarization. According to research conducted over several decades by chemist John W. Daly of the National Institutes of Health, who spent much of his career studying the alkaloid chemistry of dendrobatid frogs, this mechanism causes irreversible muscle contraction, cardiac arrhythmia, and ultimately fibrillation and heart failure, with no known antidote in existence anywhere in the world. What makes the golden poison frog even more remarkable is where the toxin actually comes from. The frog does not manufacture batrachotoxin itself. According to Daly's published research, wild golden poison frogs sequester the toxin from specific alkaloid-rich beetles and other small arthropods in their diet, concentrating the compound in specialized glands beneath the skin. Remove that specific diet, and the toxin disappears entirely. Golden poison frogs, bred and raised in captivity, on a diet of standard fruit flies and crickets, grow up to be completely harmless to the touch, visually identical to their lethal wild counterparts, but chemically inert, a discovery that stunned researchers when it was first confirmed and reshaped how scientists understood amphibian toxicity across the entire poison frog family. The Embera people, an indigenous group native to the rainforests of western Colombia, have used the golden poison frog for generations as a hunting tool, and their method is one of the most direct predator-to-weapon relationships documented anywhere in the world. According to ethnographic accounts recorded by herpetologists working in the region, hunters carefully capture a live frog, and rather than needing to boil, roast, or otherwise process it, as is required with the far less toxic poison frog species used elsewhere in South America, they simply and carefully drag the tip of a blow dart across the frog's back. The toxin coating the dart remains lethally potent for a year or more, and a single scored dart is capable of dropping a monkey or a bird almost instantly, the toxin disrupting the nervous system so completely that prey rarely travels more than a short distance before collapsing. It is, according to researchers who have documented the practice, the only poison frog species on Earth potent enough that hunters do not need to extract or concentrate the toxin at all. The living animal is the weapon, exactly as it is. Despite carrying, ounce for ounce, one of the most lethal substances in the animal kingdom, the golden poison frog has no offensive capability whatsoever. It cannot bite, sting, or spray. Its entire survival strategy depends on a predator making contact with its skin and dying, or simply learning, through the universal language of bright warning color, never to try again. Somewhere in the undergrowth of a Colombian rainforest right now, one of these frogs is sitting motionless on a wet leaf in plain daylight, doing nothing at all, and carrying enough toxin on its back to end more than a dozen human lives, with absolutely no way to deliver it, unless something else chooses to touch it first. Number 3. The black caiman. Along the flooded forests, lakes, and slow rivers of the Amazon basin, there is a predator that grows larger than almost any other reptile in the Western Hemisphere, and for most of the 20th century, it was hunted to the edge of extinction precisely because of how effective a killer it is. The black caiman, scientific name Melanosuchus niger, is the largest member of the alligator family found anywhere in the Americas, and confirmed specimens have measured over 5 meters, roughly 16 feet, in length, with unverified historical accounts describing individuals significantly larger. According to research published by the Wildlife Conservation Society, which has conducted extensive population surveys of black caimans across the Amazon, adult males typically weigh between 300 and 400 kilograms, though the largest documented individuals have exceeded 500 kilograms. The animal's coloration, a dark, almost black hide, broken by faint banding, provides effective camouflage in the tannin-stained, tea-colored waters typical of Amazon blackwater rivers, allowing the caiman to lie almost completely submerged, with only its eyes and nostrils breaking the surface for hours at a time while it waits for prey to approach the water's edge. The black caiman's bite force has been the subject of direct scientific measurement. Researchers using pressure transducer equipment on related crocodilian species have recorded bite forces in large caimans and alligators exceeding 2,000 pounds per square inch. Among the strongest bite forces of any living animal, generated by jaw-closing muscles so powerful that once the jaws clamp shut, the force required to pry them back open, even on an animal that has been sedated, is extraordinarily difficult to replicate by hand. The jaws are lined with between 68 and 72 conical teeth, designed not to slice, but to grip and crush, before the animal executes what herpetologists call a death roll, spinning its entire body along its long axis to tear flesh away from prey too large to swallow whole. Adult black caimans sit at the apex of the Amazon food web, preying on fish, birds, capybaras, and other caimans. But confirmed attacks on humans, while statistically rare compared to encounters with the more numerous and more commonly aggressive spectacled caiman, have been documented across Brazil, Peru, and Guyana, particularly during the dry season, when shrinking water levels concentrate both prey and predators into smaller pools and rivers, increasing the frequency of close-range encounters with people who rely on those same waters for fishing, bathing, and transportation. What makes the black caiman story genuinely remarkable is not just its size or its bite. It is a documented case of near-total ecological collapse, followed by recovery. Throughout the 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s, the species was hunted almost to extinction across vast stretches of its range, targeted specifically for its hide, which was considered highly valuable in the international leather trade. According to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, black caiman populations in some regions were reduced by over 99% before international trade restrictions and hunting bans, implemented through CITES beginning in the 1970s, allowed populations to slowly begin recovering. The species was reclassified from critically endangered to a status of lower concern only in recent decades, one of the more successful large predator recovery stories in South American conservation history. But that recovery has produced an unexpected consequence. Researchers studying the food web of Amazon lakes have found that the near elimination and later resurgence of black caiman populations directly affected fish populations, including species commercially important to local fishing communities, because the caiman functions as what ecologists call a keystone predator, an animal whose presence or absence reshapes the entire structure of the ecosystem beneath it. Remove the caiman, and prey species boom unchecked, altering the balance of an entire lake system. Restore the caiman, and the system stabilizes again, but with the predator once again capable of exerting the kind of bite force that can sever a limb in a single strike. The black caiman is, in the most literal sense, an animal the Amazon cannot function properly without, and also one of the most physically capable killing machines the rainforest has ever produced. For decades, humans nearly erased it. Now it is back, submerged in black water, eyes just above the surface, waiting. For communities that live along Amazon waterways, coexistence with a recovered apex predator has required real behavioral adaptation. According to field studies conducted by researchers working with riverside communities in the Peruvian and Brazilian Amazon, fishermen have adjusted where and when they set nets, avoiding known nesting areas during the breeding season when female black caimans, which guard their nests and hatchlings aggressively for months at a time, become significantly more likely to defend territory against anything that approaches, human or otherwise. Night fishing, once common practice across much of the Caiman's range, is treated with particular caution in areas with confirmed large adult populations, since the animal is most active and least visible after dark, hunting by detecting vibration and pressure changes in the water through sensory organs embedded along its jaw, a system so sensitive it can detect the ripple of an animal drinking from several meters away in complete darkness. We are halfway through, and the two creatures left on this list are more dangerous than everything that has come before them. If you are still watching, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next one. And tell us in the comments which Amazon creature on this list terrifies you the most. Last time, we had viewers from over 40 countries. Let's see if we can beat that. Number 2. The green anaconda. Of every snake species on Earth, one holds a title that has never seriously been challenged. Not the longest. That distinction technically belongs to the reticulated python of Southeast Asia, but by sheer mass. The green anaconda, scientific name Eunectes murinus, is the heaviest snake alive, and it lives almost entirely within the flooded rivers, swamps, and slow-moving tributaries of the Amazon and Orinoco basins. Confirmed measurements place large adult female green anacondas, which are significantly larger than males, at lengths exceeding 5 meters and weights over 90 kilograms, roughly 200 pounds, with some historically reported specimens claimed to exceed 8 meters, though those larger figures remain scientifically unverified and are treated with caution by herpetologists. What is not in dispute is the animal's raw physical mass. A green anaconda of confirmed record size is, by circumference and weight, comparable to an adult human, wrapped in muscle and covered in waterproof, olive-green skin patterned with dark oval blotches that provide near-perfect camouflage in murky water. The green anaconda is a constrictor, meaning it does not kill with venom, but with pressure. According to biomechanical research published in the Journal of Experimental Biology by scientists studying constriction force in large snakes, a python, or anaconda, of significant size can exert pressure on a prey animal sufficient to stop blood flow to the heart within seconds, causing death not primarily through suffocation, as commonly believed, the death knot, but through cardiac arrest, as the constricting coils prevent the heart from being able to refill with blood between beats. The snake does not need to crush bones. It simply needs to squeeze hard enough and consistently enough that the prey animal's circulatory system fails. Anacondas hunt from ambush, remaining almost entirely submerged in slow-moving water, with only their eyes and nostrils visible, waiting for prey animals, capybaras, caimans, deer, and occasionally larger animals to approach the water's edge to drink. The strike is explosive and immediate. Within moments, the snake's coils are wrapped around the prey animal, and with each exhalation from the victim, the snake tightens further, gradually eliminating the space needed for the lungs to refill. Documented and photographed cases exist of large anacondas successfully preying on caimans several meters in length, a predation event that requires the snake to overpower an animal that is itself among the most dangerous reptiles in the Amazon. Recent science has significantly reshaped what we understand about this species. In February 2024, a study published in the journal Diversity by an international research team, including scientist Brian Fry of the University of Queensland, working alongside actor and conservationist Will Smith during a documentary expedition, used genetic analysis to determine that what had been classified as a single species of green anaconda in northern South America was in fact 2 genetically distinct species. The newly described species, named the northern green anaconda, Eunectes acaiima, was found to differ from the previously known southern green anaconda by approximately 5.5% at the genetic level. According to the study's authors, a divergence significant enough that researchers compared it to the genetic distance between humans and chimpanzees. This means that for the entirety of recorded scientific history until 2024, researchers had been studying what they believed was one animal, when it was actually two, and the distinction had gone entirely undetected for over 2 centuries of formal taxonomic classification. There have been no scientifically confirmed cases of a healthy adult human being killed and consumed by a green anaconda, despite persistent legend and popular fiction suggesting otherwise. However, non-fatal attacks and instances of snakes attempting to constrict humans, particularly researchers and fishermen who inadvertently disturb an anaconda at close range in shallow water, have been documented across Brazil, Venezuela, and Colombia. Indigenous communities throughout the anaconda's range have long incorporated the animal into oral tradition and mythology, frequently portraying it as a shape-shifting or spiritually significant being, a reflection of the sheer physical presence the largest individuals command when encountered in the wild. The green anaconda represents something unusual on this list, an animal capable of overpowering nearly anything it targets through pure physical force, that has coexisted alongside humans across an enormous range for centuries, with remarkably few confirmed fatalities, and that, as recently as last year, revealed that science had fundamentally misclassified it the entire time. Somewhere in the Amazon right now, one of these snakes, quite possibly a species researchers did not even know existed until 2024, is submerged in slow water, waiting for the ripple of something approaching the surface to drink. Before we reveal number 1, look at the subscribe button. If it is not read yet, fix that, and drop a comment telling us which of these creatures you would be least willing to encounter. We read every single one. Number 1. The Candiru. And now, the creature that redefines everything this list has been building toward, because every animal so far has earned its place through raw, verifiable physical power, venom potency measured in a lab, bite force measured with pressure sensors, voltage measured on an oscilloscope. Number 1 earns its place through something different. It is a fish smaller than a matchstick, and it has generated more fear among people who live along the Amazon than the anaconda, the Caiman, and the spider combined. Despite the fact that scientists still openly disagree about exactly how much of what is feared about it is real. The Candiru, most notably the species Vandellia serosa, is a translucent, needle-thin catfish, typically no more than 2 to 5 centimeters long, roughly the length of a paperclip, found throughout the rivers and tributaries of the Amazon basin. Its baseline biology alone makes it one of the strangest fish in the world. Candiru are parasitic, and their primary feeding strategy involves detecting the ammonia-rich respiratory current released from the gills of larger fish. According to ichthyological research published on the genus, the Candiru swims directly into the gill cavity of a host fish, anchors itself in place using short, backward-facing spines along its gill covers, and feeds on the host's blood for several minutes before releasing and swimming away, leaving the host alive but wounded. A hit-and-run parasitism strategy documented across dozens of related species throughout South America. That much is undisputed biology. What has made the Candiru infamous, however, is a specific and far more controversial claim, one repeated in Amazonian oral tradition for generations, and taken seriously enough by regional communities that it has shaped basic behavior around water for centuries. According to the popular account, a Candiru, drawn by the same ammonia gradient it uses to detect the gills of host fish, can swim directly into a human urethra, most commonly while a person is urinating in or near the water, where it lodges itself using its spines and cannot be removed without surgery. In 1997, A Brazilian urologist named Anor Samad published a case report describing what he identified as a successful surgical removal of a Candiru from a male patient's urethra, following an incident reported to have occurred while the patient was urinating in a river in the Brazilian Amazon. The case, along with photographs and a video Samad later shared publicly, became the primary piece of documented medical evidence cited in support of the legend for decades afterward, circulating internationally in both medical literature and popular media. That case has since become one of the most disputed pieces of evidence in South American ichthyology. Marine biologist Stephen Spott, in his 2002 book Candiru, Life and Legend of the Blood-Sucking Catfishes, published following years of direct field and laboratory investigation into the species, examined the Samad case in detail and raised significant scientific objections, including questions about the physical plausibility of the fish entering and swimming upward against a urine stream, and inconsistencies in how the specimen and incident were documented. Spott's research did not conclude that a Candiru urethral invasion is biologically impossible. It concluded that despite the legend's overwhelming cultural presence across the entire Amazon basin, there is not, in over a century of formal medical and scientific inquiry, a single case that multiple independent researchers agree meets the full standard of verified evidence. And that unresolved gap, not a confirmed monster, not a debunked myth, but a genuine, ongoing scientific dispute, is precisely why the Candiru sits at number 1 on this list. Every other animal in this countdown can be measured, quantified, and explained with a number. The Candiru cannot. What can be measured is the behavior it has produced in millions of people for hundreds of years. According to ethnographic accounts collected across riverside communities in Brazil, Peru, and Colombia, generations of Amazonian men have worn tight-fitting swimwear, avoided urinating while submerged, and in some documented traditional practices, worn sheaths made from woven palm fiber specifically while bathing in Candiru-inhabited rivers, a precaution passed down as seriously as any warning about caimans or anacondas, regardless of what a laboratory in a distant city might eventually determine about a single disputed case from 1997. This is why the Candiru belongs at number 1, above the spider, above the frog, above the caiman, and above the anaconda. Every other creature on this list kills, or has the demonstrated physical capacity to kill, through overwhelming, measurable force. The Candiru does something none of the others do. It has become one of the most feared animals on an entire continent, not because science has proven what it can do, but because science has never been able to fully disprove it either. And in that space, in that specific, unresolved uncertainty, an entire river system's worth of caution was built and has held for generations. Somewhere in the Amazon right now, a fish smaller than your finger is drifting through murky water, following an ammonia gradient toward whatever released it. And nobody, not the people who live there, and not the scientists who have spent their careers trying to settle the question, can tell you with complete certainty everywhere that gradient might lead. Those are the 5 most terrifying creatures in the Amazon rainforest. From a wandering spider that hides in banana crates on its way to a supermarket, to a fluorescent yellow frog that carries enough toxin on its skin to end more than a dozen human lives without any way to deliver it itself, to a reptile hunted to near extinction and brought back from the edge, to a snake so large that scientists only discovered it was actually 2 separate species last year, to a fish barely the length of a matchstick that has inspired more sustained, generational fear across an entire river system than almost anything else on this list, precisely because no one has ever been able to fully prove or disprove what it's capable of. The Amazon does not need size to be lethal. It does not need obvious danger to be extraordinary. Every one of these creatures has been studied, measured, documented, and in some cases, only fully understood within the last few years. And every one of them is out there right now, in the same rainforest, doing exactly what it has done for millions of years before a single camera or a single scientist ever arrived to explain it. Which creature on this list scared you the most? Tell us in the comments. And if you made it to the end, you already know this channel is for you. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications. The next video takes you somewhere even more impossible. We will see you there.